You guys got together last night, I guess, right, as a team for maybe the first time, the whole team?
Yeah.
What was your message to them as far as your expectations for this year?
Very simple. Control the controllables. That's what we want to do. What we can control, that's what we want to control. And basically it comes down to three things for me: attitude, work ethic, and the choices you make on a daily basis. That's it, and we're going to build from there. We're very big on building from a foundation, not overloading early on, keeping it simple, and making sure the building blocks are in place.
This was a team that played really well last year under the circumstances. COVID, nothing really to play for past the regular season. Do you build on that, what they were able to accomplish last year, and kind of move forward from there? How do you approach that?
I think we're going to try to build on some of the aspects of last year, but I mean, it's tough to, in the big scheme of things, we played three teams.
Mm-hmm.
We played three teams, there was no playoffs. We knew coming into it, it was 100 days. We had 100 days of work. So the focus was completely different. Where now, we don't know when the end date is going to be. We anticipate and are working towards sometime around the end of June is what we're trying to do, but it's a long ways away. That's why it's got to come back to square one in a lot of aspects of it. But make no mistake about it, we are certainly proud of what we did the last couple of years, and that will play into part of our foundation, but it's important to understand and realize that we just can't rely on that also.
Coach, depth of organizations, being able to pull players from your ECHL affiliate, all that kind of different stuff. When you get back to these 3 games and 3 days schedules, how important is that to have the depth of organization? And the Bears certainly have always been an organization that has prided themselves in finding bodies for the coaches.
Yeah, I think it's extremely important. This organization does as good a job as any in regards to having that depth throughout. In all my years of coaching, it's the first time these last 2 seasons coaching in the American Hockey League that we didn't have to go outside of the organization for call-ups. So that's a credit to upper management and everybody who does the job and finds players. And for the most part, we don't skip a beat. When a guy goes down, whether it's unfortunate to injury or fortunately on a call-up, in those type of situations, we feel we have some players who are certainly capable of stepping in and getting the job done for us.
Conditioning part of it, I mentioned the 3-and-3s and that type of stuff, but some other sports have reduced contact in preseason, reduced practices, that kind of stuff. These guys haven't played that 80-game schedule, 76-game schedule. How are you approaching this first month when it comes to conditioning, comes to physical play, those types of things, to get these athletes ready for hopefully a season that lasts all the way into June?
Yeah, we for the way we want to play and the style of hockey that we need to play, our conditioning level has to be up. Our physicality has to be up. So to try to eliminate that in practice, it's impossible. You have to get it in. We do a good job. Mike Wagner does an extremely good job off the ice with these guys. And then it's our responsibility as the on-ice coaches to make sure we're dotting the I's and crossing the T's to play a certain way, right? And it's different. Like football's changed a lot over the years, right? And they used to have contact all the time, and not so much anymore. But those guys are still prepared to play on Sundays. But this is different. The timing of it and all those things that come into play, you certainly have to have some bumping. Don't get me wrong. We're not telling guys we want to run them through the end wall, our own teammates, in those type of situations. But as far as the grinding it out and bumps on the wall and battling off of face-offs, all those aspects, we certainly have to work on those.
What do you try and learn during training camp? Like, obviously you don't have all the pieces you may have when it comes to like an opening day roster, but what are you trying to learn when you're on the ice?
We try to learn as much as we can about the guys we don't have a lot of background on, the newer players in the system, first and foremost. Then we're constantly evaluating. That's what guys don't understand sometimes. Guys, sometimes they say, oh, I never got a chance. You get a chance with this staff every single day. Every single day is a new day. So for guys who have been here, be it last year or the last 2 years, they start with a clean slate for us. We take pride in that. We want guys coming in, and sure, what they've done in the past, there's certainly some value to that, but what have you done lately? So on a day-by-day basis, guys can push themselves into a better spot or, unfortunately, slide down, right, if that's the case. But that's what we're trying to do is evaluate guys on a daily basis.
Is this more of an individual process then, as opposed to like building a team culture right now?
It's a combination of both. It's, the team culture aspect of this is very important. In regards to the individuals, we're trying to find who may find a niche with another player, right? Who may be able to step in and, who's going to work well with a Matt Molson, who's going to work well with Joe Snively, those type of situations, D pairings. That's what we're trying to do, is find some chemistry as we go through this. But they need to understand, too, they have opportunity every day as individuals.
What's the biggest difference from you as an assistant and now a head coach? What's the difference for you?
Standing here and doing this is probably the first biggest thing. There's a lot of different aspects of it. Obviously you have last say. These last 2 seasons working with and for Spencer Carberry were tremendous for me. I certainly enjoyed it. I enjoyed every aspect of the job in that. Now obviously there's more responsibility, and this is the first time as a head coach I've had the size of a staff that we have here in Hershey. So to have the ability to delegate and making sure that they're getting enough. I certainly don't want to take command. I mean, when I first started coaching, 4.5 years in Johnstown as a head coach, it was just me. On game nights, I was fortunate enough to have an eye in the sky, a gentleman named Galen Head, former player. But otherwise, every day in practice, running the bench. So it's changed a lot through the years, and we have a tremendous staff here. So fortunate, and I just want to make sure that I'm giving them opportunities to continue to grow as coaches also.
Is it a little bit of a comfort zone for you that you are the head coach here after having spent a couple of years, so you know the system, the organization, the players? What kind of an advantage is that?
I think it's honestly an advantage to everybody, because we've all worked so well together. And when I talk about I'm talking about the equipment staff, the medical guys, just everybody that's involved in this from the top, from Brian Helmer on down, to be familiar with each other and kind of know our personalities and how we work together. To me, that's an extremely important part of this whole thing, right? We have to create, when I talk about that foundation, it has to be an extension of us first and foremost. If there's dissension within the ranks, it's tough. So the players see it, and unfortunately they feed negative energy off that, and that's what we can't afford. So having that ability to have worked with these people for either 1 year or 2 years, depending on who that person may be, I think it's very valuable.
How the heck did you become a Colts fan?
Yeah, I was born into it. My dad was a Baltimore Colts fan. He was a big John Unitas fan. So my dad's a huge football fan, first and foremost, and everybody back home was Giants fans because the Patriots weren't even around. Mm-hmm. So he was not a Giants fan. He became a Baltimore Colt fan, and he's a very loyal guy, and he stuck to that through the years. And it was different for us because for the people who live in Baltimore, when the Colts left, there was a lot of hatred to that team, and they don't like. But we didn't have that emotional tie because we were never residents of Baltimore, right? So we just stayed Colt fans, and it worked out well. We had some good years through the Peyton Manning era, and Andrew Luck would have been nice if he didn't go down with an injury, but they're still a competitive team, and it's been fun through the years for sure.
You can see we're a tough, hard-hitting group. There's not a lot to fear, but I am curious about your emotions. You mentioned how excited you were just last night. I mean, describe yourself emotionally today. Were you a wreck? Were you composed? I mean, talk about how you got to the ring today.
You know what? I got here about 4:45 this morning, and just trying to get my thoughts together and preparing for the day. I've been at this for a long time, and just because I've switched offices, I'm not going to change a ton as far as I won't change it in regards to who I am and what I am and how I do things. So that aspect of it, is easy for me. But I just want to make sure I'm no stone unturned.
You practice started at 10:30, right?
10:30.
Okay. 4:45 is when you got here.
I did.
So a lot of times for coaches, especially early on, you map out what you want to accomplish. and you get frustrated if you don't accomplish that to the T, you know what I mean?
Right.
That first day, right? So are you, patient with yourself as far as, okay, we didn't get this accomplished, let's work a little bit more on that the next day? Are you kind of task-oriented that way, the way that you coach?
Yeah, but you know what? What we don't want to do too is we don't want to let things slip either, right? There was a couple of times the execution was not where it should have been, and we stop it. We stop it and address the situation because we don't want to encourage bad habits and encourage sloppy play and encourage, hey, we just get by, get through the drill. We want to make sure we're doing things the right way first and foremost. We want to make sure that is established right from the get-go because it's tough to go back on it. If you let things slide and then you say, okay, now we're going to be firm, we're going to have a hammer, it doesn't work. So you have to establish the ground rules right from the get-go, and that's what we tried to do today.
What do you want to do here?
What do I want to do here?
Yeah.
Win championships and eat chocolate. And get the most out of every player that plays for us. That's what it's all about, right? We're going to try to squeeze every ounce of juice out of every guy. We know, even doing that not every guy is going to be able to play in the National Hockey League because it's the best league in the world, it's the best players in the world. And just because you work hard, that doesn't entitle you to get there. Working hard is part of the process. And if you don't work hard, you're setting yourself back. You're not even giving yourself a chance. So that has to be part of everybody's mantra. And then depending on who they are, everybody's different, right? They're all individuals. Some guys strive to be top 6 players. Some guys will be bottom 6 players as far as forwards. And same thing with the defensemen. You have some guys who hopefully can play up in a top 4 role. Some guys play in a 5-6 and having capable goalies to play in the National Hockey League. It's a challenge. It is a huge challenge. But if we feel if we're maximizing the potential of all our players, and I hate using that word because that word is usually a coach killer, potential. But if we do our job and maximize that potential, with that, we're looking to bring the 12th Calder Cup to the town of Hershey, Pennsylvania.
I also aspire to win championships and eat chocolate.
Not my word, right?
Mostly the chocolate, That's great. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys.